Members of President Bola Tinubu now have their marching order. President Tinubu, who presided over the first Federal Executive Council meeting of his administration at the council chambers of the State House in Abuja, warned them that it will not accept failure from them. President Tinubu said they risk sack if they don't perform. Gentlemen, this is like the marching order, and then this FEC coming on Monday.
The
last administration they adopted
Wednesday. I think Wednesday started with Obasanjo. I think I may be wrong, but I know what this is basically what they do in Lagos. Lagos meets on Mondays. It's a psychological thing that you start the week by knowing what you're going to do, and then you don't waste the week doing inanities. It's okay if it works for the.
So FEC from Wednesday to Monday now.
It depends on, like I said, this is what they do in Lagos.
Yeah.
Basically, they meet on Mondays, and they review last week, the project for this week. And everybody knows their. So when you are coming on Monday, you come with your reports. Yeah. And then whatever you think you are going to do going forward. Which makes sense, because Wednesdays, because like I said, it works for people differently, depending on whether you want to be a hands-on president or you want to be a memo president. It's a matter of style. Obviously, this president wants to use Monday as a launching pad. Which is okay, if it works. Ultimately, it's the results that we get that is important. But I think what's going to happen now, like the president said, is that this government came on board effectively June. Yeah. And we are now just hitting the first week of September. Any minister who was appointed 2 weeks ago, who does not have a marching plan order right now, is not a serious minister. But in fact, I expect newspaper houses and some of us, TV stations and radio stations, to start drilling these ministers from the end of next month, towards October 1. Because they will ask them, you now be minister for 2 months. What have you done? Because it's not only the president that stands the risk of sacking them. Our job is also to ensure, because you and I know there are ministers who start for 8 years. You can't even recognize them. Yeah. Even if your life depends on it. If they tell you that you have to know the name of this minister or you will die, you cannot. Because they are anonymous. Nobody knows who they are. I hope this will not happen this time. Because the president is an on top of the line president. I hope he's not going to fall victim of what happened the last time. When a lot of people are just throwing memos. And then at the end of the day, nothing happened.
The success of this administration will be weighed and assessed at the outputs of these ministers. Yeah. So they will be playing a pivotal role to the overall success of the Tinubu administration. Yeah. So if we have all-round success from all ministries and everything, it will go the assessment and perception of the public about this administration. Anywhere you're doing well. And the last administration, now people talked about infrastructure. Yeah. So Tunde Fashola was in charge of transport and works and housing and everything. But right now, a new team. Yeah. Everybody is expected to perform. And if you don't perform, the president is saying that I'll show you the way out. And if the president can stand by this word, if one person just made a kind of example, others will sit up.
I think it's impressive, first of all, having this kind of meeting on Mondays. Because the most management meetings, companies, they have their management meetings on Mondays because it's the first day of the week. And then you can set agenda for the week. So I think it's a very, very good development coming from over the weekend and then having this kind of meeting. And I'm impressed by what the president said. He asked the ministers to restore public faith in governance. That is an indirect way of admitting that public faith has diminished over the years. And that is the truth. People have the impression that, those ministers, they are going there to eat. So the only way they can restore that faith is in how effective, they are able to perform. In the last administration, we are talking about 1 or 2 ministers. But we are talking about 45 ministers now. We can distribute themselves. But now we have 45 ministers. If just about 30 of them can stand out in their ministry, I think it's going to be a kind of a huge plus to the future of this country. Don't also forget that we're having new ministries. Some have been, split into 2. blue economy, some split into 3, arts and culture, innovation. So we want to see a fundamental shift, a paradigm shift from what we have had in the past. And I'm impressed by what the president said. Look, if you don't perform, you will leave. I don't think the last administration ever did that.
We did. But we said on this program that it will not happen.
So what is now important is to meet up. Those words must be translated into action. We want to see a situation where the ministers will report every week, at least to the president. Let us people know what they are doing. And we should not leave it for the president alone. Civil society organizations, the media, we should be involved in effective monitoring. Communities, whether they are performing or not. So at the end of the day, they are representing us, and we have the right to demand for their withdrawal if they are not meeting up to public expectation.
And when you want to look at the assessments, a lot of Nigerians, they feel that there are some, basic parameters like, let's say, security now. For this government to go far, to achieve anything economically.
The economy.
So we expect that the protection of lives and property will be taken seriously. We have a Minister of Defense. We have a
Minister of Internal Affairs. We have ministers everywhere.
Yeah.
But the key areas, like you said, that the president, that there will be the people that will handle the perception. What people will think of this administration are those who control the economy and those who control security. Those two fundamentals are there. I'm not talking about the economy, I'm talking about people that are giving jobs in areas that we've not been able to solve. Like Bayo Adelabu in power.
Yeah.
Power is fundamental.
something must give.
And then the Bosu chap in communications. So you can see that president is a forward-looking president in such a way that, okay, let me give the young guns, or what they call the young thugs, an opportunity to put their money where their mouth is.
Yeah.
So you cannot, these people are young, they are fresh, and they are giving problems that are old to solve. Because we know Mr. Wale Edun is basically the leader of the brain box. And nobody's going to give him any flack if you don't see results in the next 1 year. And then the man in information must carry everybody along.
Yeah.
Because one thing I've seen in this particular administration is the lack of explanation of how bad things are going to get. A lot of people don't explain to us what we are going to expect. And that to me is fundamental. Because if I'm going to, the doctor will tell you that you have 10 years or 2 months to heal, and then things will get better. That means we hold him to that word.
Yeah.
Ministers should stop making vague promises. Give us things that we can outline and touch in 6 months, in 1 year. Like I said, power.
Okay. GKB, we take this breather on comeback. Wale, I think the perception, as you said, about this administration also matters. The last administration, when if I attempt to tell anybody that, oh, there's an information out there, and oh, say, by listening to the news and I monitored it, and who said it, and they say, Alhaji Lai Mohammed, people will just, no. They just walk away. Yeah. So the perception, very, very, about that administration and about anything that comes from the Minister of Information. You know.
I think that is very, very important. You know, government should not be seen to be deceitful. Once people discover that, you give them false information, you know, once, twice, third time.
But they really give you false information that time.
Well,
or people the credibility was not just there.
I think the message being passed across, you know, there's a way you pass some information across that. For instance, you know, if a president has some health challenges, it's either you don't speak or you say the truth. But don't try and, you know, lose some diplomacy about it. Because eventually people will be left in doubt about what is going on. So I think government, if you know you don't have appropriate information, it's better you keep quiet. But once you are releasing information to the public, ensure that that information is correct. And also the important thing we should also not forget is that communication is not just about issuing press statements. It's about mass communication. Nigerians naturally are organized people along religious lines, along cultural lines, along professional lines. There are hundreds of thousands of organizations who have been in Nigeria for years. Some of them are over 50 years old. Look at NATA, for instance, Association of Mechanics. since 1950s. They don't call these people until when it's election time.
Okay.
But a good government, you must ensure there is constant interaction with them. NANS, Nigeria Labour Congress, don't think they are your perpetual enemies. ASU, if there are major policies to be implemented, whether ASU is on strike or not, you need to discuss with them. Policies on education, policies on labor. The NLC must be consulted. Women organizations, civil society organizations. There are a lot of people, farmers organizations. Like, for instance, you are talking about your agrarian policy. What role do you even have data on farmers in Nigeria? Did you have a data that you can say, okay, all farmers across the country, they are leaders and their associations? So these are the important things that most of the time, our minister just issue press statement, put on WhatsApp, and they assume that, oh, we are talking to Nigerians. You need to organize their social and cultural formations that must constantly engage in order to be able to, get your messages across to the people.
I think the problem is that people assume that once you've taken an editor and make him a minister or a chief press secretary, you have solved all the problems. Yeah. But people forget that barely 10 years ago, we are still using soft texts, basically to pay for. Now everybody's on Snapchat. And the problem is that those who are trained to do this, the public relations experts, the perception management consultants, are never consulted when you are trying. Because no matter how good you are as a writer, or how better you are as a news hound, when it comes to perception management, it's not your strong suit. Yeah. And once you're a commissioner that has to sit down and tell to his face that you are lecturing people, your job is not to lecture. Your job is to, only what's the difference? And I shook my head. Because he thought he was lecturing and no, that's not your job. Look at Jerry Ghana. He was a very effective minister, not because he was the best, but because he was engaging. A lot of our ministers don't engage us anymore. Yeah. They just assume that once you put some people together in a room, talk to them for 2 hours, then you are done. No. That's why I like what the president is doing. He's accepting up front by himself. That if I do good, praise me. If I don't do so good, tell me so I can do better. That means he knows he's not perfect. We don't want people who are doing information, I don't even want to call it information anymore, perception management. Yeah. This is what they do anyway. To learn how the skills required to do that. Because a lot of time, they talk down on people as if we are stupid. Yeah. Simply because you've been appointed does not make you better than anybody else. There are people out there who explain government policy far better than you ever could in a million years. So I think what they need to do, I don't know how they're going to do it. They have a very solid team as far as media is concerned. But I don't think they are so strong when it comes to PR and perception management.
Now, talking in terms of government reaching out to people, the impression, the representation and everything, it will go a long way in winning the confidence of people. Sure. And we don't, for a long time, I think President Muhammadu Buhari, he just had that media chat, he just had like 2 or 3. Yeah. I can't remember the number of times he spoke with, actually came out to speak with Nigeria. I think we are going to see improvement in this presidency, as in communicating with Nigerians on a regular basis.
Yeah, and of course the Minister of Information is an old hand, who is also experienced, and I believe that they will go above the threshold of the past and open up new frontiers to communicate with Nigerians. Look at the crisis between, ECOWAS and Niger. The people that went there to talk, are they government officials? Did we send a foreign minister? These are civil organizations that went to Niger, the Ulamats, the organizations, civil organizations that went there, and they are making a lot of impact. So governance is not just about government officials. There are a lot of social formations that are registered or organized in this country, that if we engage them, you'll be talking to millions of Nigerians without necessarily talking to the radio or newspapers. How many people read newspapers anyway? How many people are on the internet? But people naturally go to every community. You see age grade, you see farmers union, fishers unions. So we must have a register of these organizations and have a channel of communicating with them. And I think that will make a lot of difference.
And when you want to look at it, working together and when there's this synergy between everybody, not people coming out with conflicting tunes. And at the end of the day, if a ministry is not performing or a minister is not performing, you'll be shown the way out.
Yeah, I agree. Nigeria is in such a precarious state that we cannot afford to carry freeloaders when it comes to issue of policy implementation. Those days are gone. There's no more free lunch. If you're not bringing something to the table, you should not be in government. That's always my belief. Because I believe that unless you're adding value at a level that will make a difference, then you are not adding anything. It's not going to a meeting in Abuja or looking fresh or wearing T-shirts or going to stadiums to basically to show popularity that will solve the problem. Problem is that how will it affect me? That's why I want people working for this government to start working on transferring the attention from themselves to the local governments, to the state governments, because that's the people nearest to the people. The people don't understand. They blame everything on the federal government. I have nothing against that, because they get majority of the money. But how many people are truly aware of who their local government chairman is? I live at Ojokoro. I know my local government chairman. But most people cannot say that with certainty, that they do know who runs their local governments. Like I told you, during the winter when we were in the US, the mayor of Indiana knew every house where people are that they have to take out to put in a home. They have a list of all people, everybody. So nobody died in their own homes because they could not afford it. The local government took care of it. It was a city council. It's not even a local government. It was not a borough. We have to go back to basics, that very element of using our local government as a launch pad for whatever we are doing.
At the end of the day, I want to know the names of ministers. I don't want to see ministers that are not performing. In that last administration, somebody told me that, do I know that one person called Gbemisola Saraki was part of that administration? Another person told me, Niyi Adebayo, your former governor, was part of that administration. Of no impact, because I didn't hear about them.
They were anonymous.
I only hear about them when in federal cabinet.
People should make their impact felt by the people. And if you are working, you cannot be hidden. Look at Zulum. Zulum is just far away. I don't think he has ever visited Lagos. But in recent time. But everyone is talking about him. So if you are working, if you are actually doing a lot of work, people will know that you are working. So we are challenging these ministers, and I think it's up to Nigerians to challenge them and box them to a corner. Because they are representing us, we are paying their salaries. So we want to know how they will perform in the next 6 months. Like you said about, representative in the US, the people elected there, they look for their subjects. They come to. One person told me that when he got to London, somebody just came and knocked his door. I understand you just came into this borough. You are welcome. I'm the councillor representing this area.
I know.
If you have any challenge, this is my phone number. That's governance. But here, your House of Rep, he doesn't want to see you. He sees you as a riffraff, like somebody disturbs him.
For you to know how far.
And you are the one paying him, tax people.
Do you know that in the 80s, because I was the secretary of my area, if you have a new tenant in Oshodi, they will fill a form to take it to the police station with their picture. When they are leaving, you have to tell them again that they've left. And this is a new tenant. So we've done it before.
We can do it again.
Wale Adeoye, thank you for your contribution.
Thank you.
And Osiari Onakakanfo, thank you.
Always a pleasure.
GKB, thank you.